Festival to engage, inspire, and celebrate creators across the region. This 3-day independent festival flows as follows. Day 1, exclusive city tour with creators. Friday, 26th November, 8:30 a.m. at Zipe Head Office, Accra. Day 2, Summit, Masterclass, and Influencers Party. Saturday, 27 November, 9 a.m. at Zipe Head Office. Day 3, Sunday, 28 November, Creators Awards Night and Concert at Accra City Hotel. Red Carpet starts 5 p.m. This event is powered by Enta Multimedia and ICS Africa. Major media partner, MX24GA. Title sponsor, Zipe Ghana. Support and sponsors: Twellium Ghana, Menta Music, Ghana Gold Expo, Beyond the Return, Africa World Airlines, Inan Events, A2 Bakes, Event Boutique, Music Africa, Accra City Hotel, Wycliffe. Partners. Come, let's engage, create, and connect. Visit ytcreatorsfestival.com for more.
Hello. Good afternoon and welcome to Digital Times or DT Africa Live Series. My name is Richard Joseph, reporting for Digital Times Africa. Today, we seek to delve into the state of fintech affairs here in Ghana and Africa at large. We'll be discussing accelerating Ghana's fintech innovation and what the role of African Fintech Report would be. Earlier in the news update I gave earlier, we spoke about the conference, which will be happening tomorrow and on the 20th, which is the awards and dinner night, right? And they will be launching the Ghana Fintech Outlook report tomorrow at the Best Western Premier Hotel. I have a few colleagues, partners, and sponsors, stakeholders within the Ghanaian fintech scene who's going to join me today to really delve into this conversation around fintech in Ghana and how Africa stands to benefit from the rise. Let me just share this overview so we quickly understand the context of this conversation. It is a known fact that African fintech industry has grown by leaps and bounds. No doubt. The African fintech landscape has seen cumulatively over 500 fintech emerging startups across multiple categories, and still it's counting. And a few leaders on the Ghanaian playing field include Zpay, Mazuma, PaySwitch, Haptel, just to mention a few. Right. Today, or in the past years, we've seen Ghana fintech's sector uncover growth layers, particularly in payment, loans, and the mobile money investments, cryptos, just to mention a few. Right. Today, I'm going to take a seat with these stakeholders, which I'll introduce shortly. Right. We'll talk about. We'll take a deep dive to the Ghanaian fintech scene. We'll discuss the role of the Ghana Fintech Report and to accelerate innovation through regulation and each stakeholder's position helping that growth process. My name is Richard Joseph, and at this point, I'm going to bring on Michael. Michael will tell us a little bit about himself and tell us his role is playing on the Ghana Fintech reports. Hi, Michael. You're welcome.
Hi, Richard. Thanks for having us. My name is Michael, as you mentioned. I work with Brassica Pay as the Chief Commercial Officer. So yeah, Brassica Pay is excited to be part of the Ghana FinTech Outlook. As a player within the space, it's good to always come around with other collaborators within the space to share ideas and to understand the insights that we've gathered from our field researches and our engagements with other partners. And then we see how the insights we gain from these conversations are able to shape our industry, which is still a relatively young industry. And we need a lot of participation from players within the space so we can forge on and get a very strong fintech environment here in Ghana.
Thank you so much, Michael. Now let me introduce. I hope I don't mess your name up, Manoj. Did I get the name right?
Hi. Hi,
Welcome.
Richard. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing well. So tell me about what you do and what role you play.
So my name is Manoj. I am the Chief Marketing Officer of Panamax. With me is Parag, who is the Chief Sales Officer of the group. So Panamax is a technology company based out of US. So we provide the technology platforms to run the financial businesses for banks, FIs, aggregators, governments, anyone who wants to have a fintech platform for digital financial solutions, we provide that. And we have a very robust security and a fantastic microservices API driven architecture. So basically, when we talk about financial inclusion, it's very important to have a very robust and scalable technology. Ultimately, we are the custodians of the customer's money, so the product has to be fantastic, and we deliver that fantastic product to the Africa. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Manoj. Thank you, and hope I didn't mess your name up. I have Martin, who is the director at Akel Consult, joining us, who is actually the lead on the Ghana Fintech Reports 2021. Hi, Martin. Welcome. Good for you to join us. Can you hear me, Martin? Your mic is muted. Could you kindly unmute yourself and speak?
Yeah, can you hear me now? Am I clear enough?
Yeah, great. So, Martin, can you give us a brief narration about the Ghana FinTech outlook and what are the ins and outs of the project?
Well, the project was introduced in 2021 as a way of, educating the masses on the benefits of, our financial status, particularly as it has to do with, using financial technologies to accelerate our digitalization agenda and to give the public and businesses a competitive edge in this changing dynamics. So, like the rest of the world, Ghana's economy is basically cash driven. And as we are making efforts to, digitalize, particularly move into
For
the
some reason,
cashless
you're
era,
breaking.
and smartphone penetration.
African
However,
content creators are changing the narrative on the global YouTube platform by telling distinctive stories cutting across all subjects. Enter Multimedia Limited presents the first ever ZPay YT Creators Festival to engage, inspire, and celebrate creators across the region. This 3-day independent festival flows as follows.
Hi, Martin. We lost you there for a bit. Could you kindly
yes,
speak out for us? We couldn't
yes,
hear you. Let's
yes.
go on
So
the
I'm
show.
saying, so like I
Adjust
was
a few
saying,
things.
I think I had an
Yeah.
advert playing from
Yeah, we went on
yeah.
a break because we couldn't hear you. So we're back now.
Okay, so can you hear me now?
Loud and clear.
Okay. So like I was saying, the whole Ghana Fintech Outlook project consists of a Ghana Fintech ecosystem mapping survey, which is intended to actually look at how many fintech companies are operating in Ghana, how much capital or investment they have been able to raise or bring into the ecosystem, their how much they are processing funds in terms of funds, and um, the type, the various types of fintech solutions or 10 key technological solutions this fintech startups and companies offer. Now, we also have things like the funding arrangements of these companies in order to scale up and grow. Now, we're also looking at what are the skills or capacities needed by these fintech companies to be able to, deliver e-commerce solutions or services to clients. And particularly, what is the regulatory environment for fintechs in Ghana, the challenges that these processes poses to them and their businesses and operations. So, like I said, we by so doing, we would also be looking at what is the current level of engagement with fintechs, with the regulators, be it Bank of Ghana, with NPRA, whichever one. So, that ecosystem mapping survey or report will be launched at the conference tomorrow. So the conference, which is happening tomorrow, promises to bring together experts within the financial and banking sector, internationally recognized fintech players and leaders to deliberate on case studies and approaches to enhance our financial inclusion and cash-light drive as we seek to achieve a digital economy. We have very resourceful personalities coming to grace this event on two panels. And our team for the conference this year is promoting collaboration and accelerated investment in Ghana's fintech ecosystem. So one may ask, why that team? The reason is simple. Ghanaian fintechs are actually fragmented, and a lot of them are working in silos. So we don't see that form of, working together in the ecosystem, just like how the mobile money operators are doing. You see the interoperability between the telcos or mobile money operators working seamlessly. We want to achieve this with fintechs, doing same with the banks, the commercial banks, and the MTN or the momos as well. So these are things we are looking at. So that's collaboration on the part of collaboration, and that will be delved into further by panel one. That's going to look at collaborations within the fintech ecosystem in Ghana. Then thereafter we have panel two. Now we talked about accelerated investment as part of our team. So panel two will be talking about funding fintech startups in Ghana. What are the prospects and nuances? If you look at the fintech ecosystem within the sub-Saharan Africa, you realize that as compared to our counterparts or our neighbors, Nigeria, and way to the east, Kenya, then Egypt and South Africa, you see that Ghana is actually not attracting the kind of investment we need to drive the sector or the industry as our counterparts are doing, because most of this funding goes to this big four nations, but Ghana is actually not on that same trajectory with them. So we want to look at what are the funding requirements, and on that panel we have experts who talk to some of these things, companies that have raised capital or revenue or funds for their businesses or their fintech firms locally here in Ghana. So that is something to look out for. I mean, we cannot close this without an award night to recognize deserving fintech players in the industry. So that is going to happen, and all these events are strictly by invitation, but they'll be streamed live on our social media pages. So the awards is also going to happen on the 20th of November at the Best Western Premier Hotel, just like the conference. So we have our sponsors who are pushing us and getting this done. We have Panamax that is already on the call. And then we have ZPay, a locally owned Ghanaian fintech player in the industry. Then we have EasyPay Ghana, another local fintech player. Then we have People's Pension Trust, a fintech platform. We also have MTN Momo. We have Pavilion.com, another fintech platform, digital fintech platform. We also have Tarragon Edge, an SME platform that helps SMEs to grow. I mean, a whole lot. And so, I mean, what's happening within the fintech space globally and locally to drive the needed attention and financial inclusion agenda to achieve that is actually marvelous. So, I mean, this is a conference to always look out for, and we cannot wait to host everybody tomorrow. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Martin. You really elaborated there for us what to expect and what to look out for. But I'm also really concerned about what to look out for in the report. And before I come back to you, I just want to quickly go on to Manoj. Right? You work from an international space. What do you expect to see in this report, which will help you, for instance, process better or get better information to aid your expansion plan if you have a hope to come into the Ghanaian fintech scene?
See, my expectation is simple. This report will outline how the Ghanaian fintech ecosystem is going to evolve. Today, where we are in the fintech industry, we understand Ghana from certain perspective. This report will give us more detailed information on the future, how the Ghanaians are going to react to the digitalization wave, the spending patterns, the buying behavior, what kind of technologies are being used in Ghana as of now. So all these things will help us in making our decision better. That, what kind of offerings we should bring in more for Ghana. Today we have a certain set of products and services. We might need to fine tune certain things based on the outcome of this report. Because analysis research is an integral part of any technology company. We have our own ways of finding the information, but if it's good, and somebody is already doing the hard work on the ground, then certainly we can use that information to penetrate more in the Ghana, spread our offerings, and
the makers of this report definitely have got a more insight. You guys know the market best. So basically, we are still an outsider. We could say Africa is our second country, but still we are outsider. So the best person to know about the insights of the country is the guys who's making this report.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's great. I'm just thinking about what you said, and I just thought about the Ghanaian players. So Barisa Pay, for instance. Hi, Michael. I hope you're still on the call. Coming over to you right now. So Manoj says that it will help the international market or stakeholders from the international community get better information, understand how the market performs, and help them assess what the position should be coming into the market. For you, a local player, how is this report gonna be of aid to you?
Would really help us understand.
Michael, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me as well?
Can you turn on your video? We can see you. Yeah, I can hear you now. But we'll love to see you, please.
Is it better now?
Yeah, better. Thank you.
Awesome. So as I was saying earlier, the insights from this report is really going to be helpful to help us understand the direction in which the market is headed. Now, as product developers, there are many instances where we sit in our boardrooms and tend to design products without a full understanding of what the market is ready for, or without a full understanding of what pertains in the market. And so getting some insights from this report helps us know from a consumer perspective what their expectations of fintechs are, and also even from a technological space, what kind of technology is really being used or leveraged within the market. And also from a collaborative space to understand what other players within the industry have been up to, what are the new trends that are emerging, what are the partners, who are the partners that we can collaborate with. We've noticed over a period that there's not a lot of collaboration that we see happening within the space. It's a very tight competitive space, but I think to be able to grow to become unicorns within the space, there'll be a lot of collaborations that need to happen, because we have different technologies, we have different customer segments that we deal with. And so knowing what your other competitors are doing can help you even sort of collaborate in terms of product development, in terms of market level awareness campaigns that would inure to the general benefits of the ecosystem. So I said no come. So that you talk no come.
African content creators are changing the narrative on the global YouTube platform by telling distinctive stories cutting across all subjects. And Multimedia Limited presents the first ever Z.
Sorry for the abrupt break. We had a few connectivity issue. We try to bring you live dialogues virtually because of COVID restrictions, and these are some of the challenges we get to encounter. And sorry for breaking you off there, Michael. At this point, you can continue.
So I'm not very sure at which point. Yeah. I'm not very sure at which point you lost.
Oh, you spoke about understanding what other partners are doing, and that could help with collaboration. So I head up to that point.
Absolutely. So as I was mentioning, we need to collaborate more in terms of product development, and also to have a lot more market-led awareness campaigns. Today, the market is pretty fragmented, and so you'd have people working in silos, each doing his or her own. But I think it'll be really helpful if, as a fintech ecosystem, we come together and have a non-brand-led awareness campaign. It doesn't have to be Brassica, it doesn't have to be ZPay, it doesn't have to be EasyPay, but more of fintechs coming together to educate the market. And this would have go a long way to increase adoption of our products and services.
Great. One thing I find interesting and I really love is to see the collaboration with all the fintech organizations that have signed up to support this initiative. So the likes of ZPay, like Martin mentioned earlier, and Barisa Pay, a few others which I can remember the name off the top of my head. Right, Martin, what does this say to you, given the future of payments in Ghana? Will you see more collaborations, or do we still will this report help Ghana that supportive ecosystem where no one works in fraction anymore, but we'll work collaboratively to help improve the future of payments?
Yeah, Richard, this report is actually going to give players and stakeholders an overview of the fintech, or let me say, a holistic overview of what the fintech
Martin, please,
ecosystem
if you
looks
could
like.
speak out loud a little bit, I really appreciate. I can hardly hear
Okay,
you.
can you hear me now?
Perfect, thank you.
Yes, I'm saying this report will give the fintech stakeholders and ecosystem players an overview of what the fintech sector looks like, and what needs to be done, because there's definitely more that needs to be done to accelerate the digitalization agenda of government, and the main goal of fintech is actually to bridge that financial gap that currently exists, whereby let's say mother in the village cannot access financial products easily. So what fintech brings to the table is actually convenience, ease, and access to financial data statistics. Because with fintech, you can be able to transact anything or any payment without having to, take that long queue or that long drive to the bank to go through that Herculean task of standing in a queue, going through the numerous ways of filling forms, whatever. And what have you. So basically, that is what we hope to achieve and see a high level of penetration of fintechs and mobile money operations in Ghana.
Thank you so much, Michael. Yes, you spoke about mobile money. I am very much tempted at this point to talk about the tax on mobile money. But before I get there, let me just quickly speak to Michael once again before I come on to Manoj. Right. So there is a huge part policymakers or regulators have to play, right? And just thinking about it, we we have seen a few policies right now, for instance, the taxation of mobile money, which might not really settle in well for the fintech players. How would this report help policymakers understand or make better guided decisions, or adopt or find a level playing ground for both the policy maker, which are the regulators, and then innovators to find common ground to boost the future of payment and boost the fintech economy in Ghana and Africa at large?
Yeah, I think we've been pretty privileged here in Ghana to have a very forward-thinking regulator. That's the Bank of Ghana, and so our relationship with the regulator has been a lot more collaborative than a police and thief situation as you would have in many jurisdictions where the regulator only exists to find if you are doing wrongs and then clamp down on you. But we have a very forward-thinking regulator here in Ghana. Now, what this report is going to do is to level out the kind of information that we have in the system, also going to ensure that both the regulator, the innovators, and then the players are all abreast with the current trends. And so, for instance, if the report tells us that the direction of digital payments is cryptocurrency, then it means that the regulator needs to start putting their house in order in terms of making ready some frameworks to regulate cryptocurrency and other things like that. And so, yeah, I think it's really going to be helpful for both regulators and then players to understand which direction we all need to position ourselves for to ensure a better working space for the fintech economy, as we put it.
Thank you so much, Michael, for that insight. I'll just quickly head over to Manoj, and then I'll come back to talking about the mobile money tax because it's the hottest topic on the Ghanaian scene right now. Manoj, as an international player, right, and looking at the current Ghanaian scene, obviously there is not enough data to back off what is going on within the Ghanaian fintech scene. I think I remember at this who was the director at either Abgel Communications, did mention when the World Bank, over the press briefing, that when the World Bank needed data, they couldn't find sufficient data, right? This report will provide you insights. But then how would this inform the decision coming into the market, especially with the issues with regulators, right? How would it help you deal better with regulators just to find your seat within the Ghanaian fintech scene?
See, regulators are the custodians of the money that rotates in the system, right? Regulators have to be there, and they are the right policy drivers. In fact, today, like the imposition of the extra levy that has been discussed out, you know, that may be, it's too early to say whether it will be a barrier or it can provide more revenue to the country's GDP or not. But see, regulators have to be there. So this report might have some insights on the policy frameworks that regulators might need to adopt. See, regulators also have to evolve with the customer needs and convenience. They are custodians, they have to look after money, they have to look after security, everything. But yes, you have to also understand one thing, that customer will decide how the money will move in the system. So ultimately regulators have to have a sort of understanding of the customer needs, how the financial evolution is happening, how digitalization will impact the customers on day to day basis. All these things have to be kept in mind by regulators while framing the policy frameworks. So I hope this report might have some more insights on the kind of policies that regulators might need to adopt, or the customer insights will actually help the regulators in driving towards the right policy framework. Yep.
Thank you, Manoj. Would your partner have anything to say to add to that?
No, this is exactly what I was trying to say also, that yes, the regulator has to be there. There has to be some kind of a watchdog, so can things can be streamlined and don't go out of the hands. To prevent the frauds and to make policies, there has to be a regulator.
Richard, can you hear us? Richard?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can hear you. So that's it from our side.
All right, thank you so much. Once again, I just want to remind our audience that we are streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. If you have questions, do well to leave them in the section below. Our stakeholders, our guests will do well to answer those questions for you. If you have any questions around the financial ecosystem in Ghana and Africa at large, please leave those questions there, right, as we move on to the next set of inquiries, right? Martin, how or what do you make of the MOMO taxation, the mobile money taxation the finance minister announced yesterday? This is now a big issue, right?
Yeah,
And
Richard, you are
what
putting me on the
influence would
spot.
this have on the fintech
You
sector in
know,
Ghana?
yeah, sorry, you are putting me on the spot, and you know that this is coming at a time where we are actually trying to make gains of fintechs and particularly be able to bridge that gap in the fintech or the financial inclusion agenda that government is pushing. And so it's kind of worrying for me as an ecosystem analyst to see what is currently happening. And I think this is going to actually draw back on some of the marvelous things we are doing in the ecosystem and some of the gains that we seek to achieve, or some of the objectives we seek to achieve in order to drive financial inclusion in this country. So for me, I think that's all that I can comment on as it relates to this levy. And I think Parliament is yet to start debating on it. So we'll wait for Parliament's, decision going forward on how this is going to pan out. So I think that is just, the right thing to do at this moment.
Michael, you work within the fintech space, and you're one of the people looking at fast tracking what fintech has to offer to Ghanaians and improving the payment scene in Ghana. How do you take this news? Does it stall growth, or is does it play a good part in helping build a better financial ecosystem? And talking about inclusion.
Yeah. So I was a bit disappointed when I heard the announcement yesterday. Um, as Martin says, it really sets us back. If you look at all the gains we've made within the space over the last couple of years. Interesting. This is the second time I'm sitting in this conversation. Sometime 4 years ago, this conversation began to come up, and we had a lot of stakeholder engagements to quell it at a very early stage. Interesting to see it come up again. I think from a consumer perspective, and I'm sure you can tell from the uproar on social media, I think it's a big inhibitor to the adoption of mobile money and financial inclusion. Regardless of the big numbers we see, we are still at a very infantile stage if you look at the prospects of mobile money. And so I think we are not at that level of maturity yet where we should think about taxing this ecosystem. Look, it's affecting everything from mobile money to bank transfers to merchant payments. I could say mobile money is quite grown, but if you look at merchant payment, we are struggling. It's still at a very, it's crawling, right? And so to tax things like merchant payments, it means that people really are going to resort or go back to using cash, and that takes us back from all the gains that we're trying to make. If you look at this year, the government itself has spent a lot of money to drive the GHQR code project, which is supposed to lead us onto that cash light or cashless agenda. And so if already I'm going to incur an additional cost if I want to embrace that cash light agenda and I need to pay more, then I might as well just pay with fiscal cash. And so I think it's a great inhibitor for adoption of mobile money and digital financial services. I think it's a policy that will require that stakeholders sit around the table again and possibly put a petition to the Ministry of Finance. I think look, we've seen this happen before. When you talk about the luxury tax and all of those things, after stakeholders were engaged, the government actually took some steps to reverse it. So I think it's not a battle that's been lost. I think stakeholders should be able to come together and present a very solid case to the government on why we think the timing is wrong and why we think it's not the best way to make money for the state. So yeah, I'd look forward to engaging with other players to make this case to the government.
Great to hear that. I'm just thinking about Manaj, who is an international stakeholder in this matter, right? I don't know if you've heard of the news of the electronic levy implemented or being announced at the Ghanaian Parliament by the Finance Minister of Ghana to be implemented soon, right? What do you make of these announcements, and how does that affect maybe the decision? I'm really not sure if the Ghana Fintech report has this captured, but then as a player in the international market space, looking at barriers of entry, does this serve as a form of barrier of entry coming to the Ghanaian fintech scene? How does it advise your business moving forward in towards the future of payments in Africa?
I mean, see, every country has its own regulations, right? So now Ghana is introducing this levy on mobile money transactions. So it's the law of the land is same for all, right? Initially, we all think that it might be an hindrance to the financial inclusion, but it's too early to say any of these things because everyone will have a level playing field. So if the transaction charge is there, say for example 1.75 CD, it is same for all. It's for everyone, right? So it's too early to understand the implications of it. Maybe it might help in generating more revenue. GDP of the country get a boost from this as well. So once it rolls out and few months pass, then only it can be judged whether this is good or what are the implications of this, and who will absorb this cost. Will it come directly to the customer, or merchants will have to absorb the cost, or in a peer-to-peer transaction both the entities are going to share the cost? So there can be various models around absorption of this cost. So we will see how it looks. And uh, from the technology perspective, it's like already there in the platforms they are running, which are running in the market. We do have that kind of a scenario. For every category of transaction, you can levy a service charge. It can be collected in a different account as well. This charge can be split as well. So from technology perspective, it is not a challenge, but from the barriers and from GDP perspective, it is yet to be seen how this is going to impact Ghana.
Interesting. I heard you talk about it's too early to measure truth. Yes, we don't know if Parliament is going to pass this, but let me just quickly get on to Martin, right, on this case, right. Fintech has seen or has been some form of disruption from traditional banking industry or the banking sector, right? Is this a way that government is trying to level the playing field between fintechs and the banks? What do you think?
Um, Richard, I think you are still coming back to the same question. For the betterment of
No, I'm
all,
talking
or
to
to
you as an
further,
analyst right now, and then
yes,
talking
yes.
about financial
But
analysis.
for me, from yeah, as an analyst, yes, I think this policy actually, isn't going to help us drive the agenda. Like Michael actually said, it's not going. It's going to inhibit a lot of the gains. I mean, and it's not actually. I mean, the banks cannot actually currently in this ecosystem that we play in, the banks cannot actually compete with fintech. So I just see it as one of those nuisance taxes that government is actually implementing. If you ask me, just like it did we've been hearing the news over and over that something like this is going to come up. So I think we need to look at this very holistically. Government needs to actually have that broader stakeholder engagement because a lot of I'm aware that fintechs were not engaged or the various technological chambers were not engaged before this policy was made public. But government has its own agenda of bridging that tax gap and being able to include everybody in the tax bracket. And for them, this is a way of bringing in the informal sector. So this is something I think that needs a broader stakeholder engagement, and which would definitely involve the banks, the fintechs, and other players. So we are looking forward to that, and we think that will push us in the right direction and know what is actually happening. But in terms of bridging that gap or trying to level the playing field with fintechs and the banks, the commercial banks, I don't think fintechs or the banks, I don't think the banks can actually compete because with the kind of innovation that are driving fintech, they are quite way, should I say, ahead of the banking sector currently as it is. So let's see what happens as the deliberations continue, and we will take this further to actually get to the bottom of this. Thank you.
Interesting of you to say, right? Now I'm talking about the future of payments in Africa and just driving financial inclusion for both the bank and the unbanked, right? Abjor Communications, so hope I don't Akel Consult. What is the future of the subsequent reports that will be coming up? Because I don't think this is a one-off thing. This started in 2020, and now we have a report which will be launched, right? What does the future look like, and
Yeah, the
how
future
are you
for
looking
us.
at engaging stakeholders to make this report more inclusive?
Good. The current report, as it is, it's actually just an overview. But going forward, we want to have, some solid collaborations and partnerships, more partnerships with more all the fintechs in Ghana because for the work that we have done at Accel Limited and Abjor Communications, uh, data basically is a new oil, and that is what is driving a lot of economies. And it's funny how it is quite very unfortunate that in our part of the world we try to limit data, and a lot of companies as well do not actually value the economic benefits of data for their daily activities. And so that's why we are doing it because we believe that data can drive economic growth and national development. And irrespective of how you see it, leveraging on technology currently and in this times, particularly during the COVID times, we saw the growth very exponential. So I think I'm of the opinion that we must actually open up our doors as players in the ecosystem, deliberate and bring together our data for a more detailed report going forward. And that is what we seek to achieve. That kind of partnership within the regulators, the stakeholders, and the players in the ecosystem to sit together at a round table to say, look, we need this data to actually ascertain what is happening in our ecosystem. We need this data to actually look at what the outlook of our payment system is or ecosystem is going to be, so that we can, as it were, be able to drive the cashless economy agenda, which is one of the key things the government is pushing, and I think they've done well so far. So I think we should not put in practices that would limit this noble agenda or initiative. And so for us, we think this is in the right direction, and continue it on a yearly basis to see it get the needed attention and drive it deserves.
Great, thank you for that insightful recommendation. I want to see this on a yearly basis. I want to quickly hear from the sponsors. What commitments are they willing to make to have this always come off yearly? Would this report be relevant 6 months from now? Right? Do we want to do it much more quarterly? Because then things are changing rapidly within the fintech ecosystem. So maybe by the end of by the mid of 2022, we could have something else introduced by the government. How do we want to go about collecting these data and just having these data available for public consumption? I don't know if you got me. Did you hear me?
Sorry, is that question to me?
Oh yeah, it's a question to you first and foremost. How often would you want to receive such insight analysis, and how much contribution are you willing to make sure that you get this data?
I mean, see, yeah. So this kind of report, if it comes once every 2 years or so, it's good enough. It depends on how how deep the report is actually. It might have certain forecasts for next 3 years, 5 years, depending on what kind of data is available. Generally, if you get this kind of data every 2 to 3 years, because it's rapidly changing evolution. Every time fintech technology is changing, the customer behaviors are changing. So if we get this kind of a data every 2 to 3 years, it will really help in understanding how the market is behaving.
Thank you so much. And Michael, let me quickly take your insight from that.
Yeah, I agree. It's a pretty fluid industry, but I think getting this information on a yearly basis, in our case, should be helpful. I think 1 year is quite enough time to observe the various dynamics within the space. Consumer behavior maybe not change too much, but maybe new entrants into the market, new technologies, new trends. I think collecting this on a yearly basis is fine. And so, yeah, we are committed to making sure that this is happening on an annual basis.
All right, thank you so much. This is where we draw the curtains. Thank you so much, Manoj, for joining us. Thank you so much, Michael, for joining us. And thank you so much, Martin, for joining us. The Ghana Fintech Outlook report will be launched tomorrow at the Best Western Premier Hotel. It's happening. This is an only invite event. Also, the awards will be coming off on the 20th as well at the same venue. For those who wish to participate and understand what the financial ecosystem looks like or what the landscape looks like in Ghana, feel free to join on Facebook via the Akel Consults or Abjel Communication. Digital Times will be there live to report the event as well. This all we can bring you at this point. We hope to follow up and see what the report has for us. Visit www.digitaltimes for further updates on this report, because yes, we will be there to cover it. We want to understand the fintech playing field in Ghana and look at how it can broaden to affect Africa as a whole. My name is Richard Joseph, and this was brought to you by Digital Times Africa. Thank you again to my panelists or my guests, for joining us. We really appreciate the time you spent with us, helping us really understand what we'll be looking into in this report and what to expect. Have a blessed day. That's all from me.
African content creators are changing the narrative on the global YouTube platform by telling distinctive stories cutting across all subjects. Enter Multimedia Limited presents the first ever ZPay YT Creators Festival to engage, inspire, and celebrate creators across the region. This 3-day independent festival flows as follows. Day 1, exclusive city tour with creators, Friday 26th November, 8:30 a.m. at ZPay head office, Accra. Day 2, Summit, Masterclass, and Influencers Party, Saturday 27 November, 9 a.m. at ZPay head office. Day 3, Sunday 28 November, Creators Awards Night and Concert at Accra City Hotel. Red carpet starts 5 p.m. This event is powered by Enter Multimedia and ICS Africa. Major media partner, MX